doesn't care about Charlie Kirk. MAGA only cares about grifting off of Charlie Kirk, expanding Donald Trump's authoritarian project based on a lie, a false narrative that Charlie Kirk wasn't a bigot, but instead some civil rights leader. This just isn't true. It is one of the many lies we see coming out of this administration that is falling apart right now. And one of the best examples of both of those truths, that Donald Trump's administration is in shambles and that they are just trying to profit off of Charlie Kirk, was a shock resignation of a Trump stooge that we are going to get into and what it means for everything happening in MAGA world. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into that shock resignation, I want to start with the firing threats Donald Trump is making amid a looming government shutdown that has him losing his mind.
Mr. President, furloughs are very typical when the government shuts down. Why is the administration directing federal layoffs of federal workers this time around?
Well, this is all caused by the Democrats. They asked us to do something that's totally unreasonable. They never change. They want to give money away to illegally, people that entered our country illegally. They want to give them massive federal money. And we don't want to do that because it means everyone's going to just keep pouring back. Right now, we have absolutely perfect borders like you haven't seen in many years. Even better than I had great borders during my 4 years, but these borders are stone cold closed. You can only come into our country legally now. But the Democrats want to give it all away. They want to open up the borders. Take a look at that. Big thing. They want to open borders again after what we're going through now, getting rid of prisoners, getting rid of all of these people dropped out from mental institutions.
Donald Trump wants you to believe two very different ideas at the same time. The first is as batshit as the second. The first is that Donald Trump won some overwhelming majority and that the 2024 election secured his mandate as the most popular president in the modern era. That's what Donald Trump pitched to us, that he won this huge cultural victory. Everything had shifted. But now he wants us to also believe that it is Democrats who are responsible for governing, that Democrats have to make sure that Donald Trump is satisfied, that Democrats will be at fault if the government shuts down. This is bullshit. That is not the case at all, and Donald Trump wants to spin that argument. Now he's threatening to fire more federal workers en masse if he doesn't get everything that he wants. Why? Because Donald Trump needs the loyalty of federal workers who have sworn an oath to Trump and not actually serving us, but also because Donald Trump wants to make Democrats scared and force them into allowing him to gut Medicaid. Someone who called that all out before we get into that resignation, because it's just so important we talk about this issue and how it relates to everything right now, was Chris Murphy.
So Congress has to pass the annual budget this month, or there's going to be a shutdown at the end of September. Here's the two most important things that we all need to be paying attention to, that Democrats need to be fighting for at the negotiating table. First, there's going to be a healthcare meltdown in this country later this year. All of the cuts that Republicans made earlier this year to Medicaid and to the Affordable Care Act, you're going to start seeing massive premium increases, people losing healthcare all across the country this fall. If you're on an affordable healthcare plan, if you bought your healthcare off of your state-based or national healthcare exchange, you could be seeing a 75% increase in your premiums later this year. And so as we debate and negotiate the budget for the coming year, we've got to stave off what will be an absolute disaster for millions of Americans. The second important thing is that this budget is not going to be worth the paper it's written on if Donald Trump continues to act illegally. What Donald Trump is basically saying is that he's not going to pay attention to anything that we write in this budget. He'll spend the money he wants to spend, and he won't spend the money that he doesn't want to spend. Now, the Constitution doesn't allow the president to do that, but Donald Trump continually is telling Congress that he is only going to implement the parts of the budget that align with his personal, political, and financial interests.
All right. So Donald Trump is threatening mass firings if there is a government shutdown, but if there isn't a government shutdown and we go along with Donald Trump's budget, it's going to result in millions of people losing their health care. Right now is an opportunity for Democrats to take a stand and make it very clear that we are actually willing to fight against Donald Trump, because as Senator Murphy says, his budget means nothing. The laws on the books mean nothing if Donald Trump won't abide by them. So we should stop treating these people like they're good faith actors. And the same has to be said again around Charlie Kirk, which is why the shock resignation of a Trump stooge in pursuit of those Charlie Kirk bucks is very interesting to me. Oklahoma superintendent who put Trump Bibles in classrooms resigns. Ryan Walters, who has led Oklahoma public schools since 2022, is quitting to run a conservative education nonprofit. Oklahoma's superintendent, who has attracted national attention as he sought to install religion and right-wing viewpoints in Oklahoma schools, will resign to run a conservative educational nonprofit. Ryan Walters, who has led public schools in Oklahoma since 2022, has put Donald Trump endorsed Bibles into classrooms and required teaching 2022 election conspiracies. He is leaving the post to lead the Teacher Freedom Alliance, which says its mission is to help teachers develop free, moral, and upright American citizens. On its website, the group is touting Walters as its new leader. Walters fearlessly fights the woke liberal union mob. TFA will make the fight straight to the unions and will not stop, the website says. Together, we will build a national movement that is centered on freedom and common sense, not on bullying and intimidation. Walters announced this move on Fox on Wednesday night, teasing his appearance by writing on X, "Liberals' worst nightmare is about to come true." A local Fox affiliate reported tallied more than 400 national media appearances in the past 2 years by Walters as he sought to raise his profile nationally while pursuing a Christian nationalist agenda in Oklahoma. Walters has repeatedly pushed Christianity into public schools in Oklahoma. He once tried to require schools to play a video of him praying. He advocated for the country's first Catholic public charter school. This week, he called for chapters of Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA in all Oklahoma schools. So in the absence of Charlie Kirk, you are seeing a flood of the MAGA wannabe influencers trying to collect the billionaire bucks that are out there to replace Kirk. Because although he was a despicable human being, and of course he wasn't a civil rights leader, the one thing he was good at was building out his media operation. And that's what Charlie Kirk was. He's not someone who stood up for the First Amendment, who cared deeply about the freedoms that every American should have. Charlie Kirk was a fucking bigot who made bucks off of TikTok videos in which he said black women couldn't actually earn jobs because he was disgusting. That is it. But this guy is leaving his post after being a Trump suck-up for the past 2 years, 2.5, 3 years. Why? Because he wants to track down those billionaire dollars that are floating out there. We've seen a lot of this right now. MAGA trying to pull itself together, trying to figure out what the next step is and trying to convince the youth of America that Donald Trump is somehow better for them. And do you know what it's not doing right now? It's not really working. It's interesting the difference between young kids who are still in college and they're more conservative lean than those people who just graduated. What I can tell you is my friends and I, who just left school, can really see that the Trump economy is fucking awful. People can't get jobs. Things are getting more expensive. Housing is unaffordable. Utilities are unaffordable as the cost of electricity and power skyrockets because of Donald Trump and his big ugly bill. And so young people, in the wake not just of Charlie Kirk, but in this Trump presidency, are once again shifting to the left. And MAGA is trying to respond to that, and they're not doing a great job. Even when it comes to trying to lionize Charlie Kirk, like we see this Oklahoma former, thank God, school superintendent trying to install Turning Point in all of these high schools and middle schools. It's insane. Colleges as well. I don't know how that's free speech. I don't know how that's separating, government from people's lives. These people always claim that they're small government until they can use the government to enforce their beliefs on you at all cost. But I think right now it is important that we talk about the fact that these people are simply after the grift. They're simply after the dollars, as Charlie Kirk was as well, and no one made that point better than Jasmine Crockett.
You know what? One of the things I do want to point out that's not been laid out that honestly hurts my heart is when I saw the no votes, there were only 2 Caucasians. For the most part, the only people that voted no were people of color, because the rhetoric that Charlie Kirk continuously put out there was rhetoric that specifically targeted people of color. And so it is unfortunate that even our colleagues could not see how harmful his rhetoric was specifically to us. And I can tell you that a month prior to him passing away, he had actually gotten out on his podcast. I wasn't aware of this at the time, but he got out there and he was talking negatively about me directly. So if there was any way that I was going to honor somebody who decided that they were just going to negatively talk about me and proclaim that I was somehow involved in the great white replacement, yeah, I'm not honoring that kind of stuff, especially as a civil rights attorney, and understanding how I got to Congress, knowing that there were people that died, people that were willing to die, that worked to make sure that voices like mine could exist in this place. So to me, just like we wanted to make sure that those Confederate relics were taken down, the idea of a new age relic being propped up was something that I just could not subscribe to. And it is unfortunate that more of my colleagues, even on my side of the aisle, could not see the amount of harm that this man was attempting to inflict upon our communities. And the reality is that we are living in a time in which this administration and this regime is not interested in making sure that people understand history. We need to understand why they are so problematic. And so I am using that language because it is accurate language. When we see the consolidation of power, when we see them trying to chill speech of jokesters, when we're seeing all of this, that is a playbook out of Hitler, and I won't deny it. Like, these are the facts. But one of the things that I've never done that the president has done consistently is called specifically for violence. He has said, oh, beat that one up. He has said those types of things. We know that Charlie Kirk was saying things about who should live and who should die. I have never said those kinds of things. And I think that those things are the ones that are really, really dangerous. And even still, some of that will still be protected. We know that we still have laws that are on the book that certain speech is not protected, that it does cross over when you are inciting violence, such as what we saw on January 6th. When you are doing what we consider to be a terroristic threat of some sort, where it's a matter of, I'm not just saying it, but I have the apparent ability to carry that out. But me laying out historical facts, just like they don't want to talk about the fact that slavery was real in this country and that my people were enslaved and dragged and raped and abused, and they don't want to account for any of that. They don't believe in reparations. No, I think it is okay for me to understand history and communicate in a very clear way.
If we allow Donald Trump to pretend that Charlie Kirk was this incredible guy, we are losing. We are once again allowing ourselves as a party to get conned and to lose the messaging war. We cannot do that. More Democrats need to sound like Jasmine Crockett. We are certainly going to on this show. If you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And if you want to support this show in a different way, you can become a subscriber, free or paid, to my Substack, linked below or right here. Keep on fighting. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.